Hello everybody, welcome to another Paratus video. My name is still Gideon, hasn't changed, and today's a video that quite a few of you have wanted me to make or asked me to make, and it's about my everyday carry or EDC setup and what do I use, why do I use it, how do I use it. So it's a bit of an intimidating video to make, to be honest, but hopefully it can be of value to you as I have derived value from learning from other people's decisions. So jumping right in, but before we do that, just a quick disclaimer. There's been some really awesome articles about the foundations of EDC and choosing your equipment and choosing your gun, written by Rowan Aberg and Brian Menny, two fellow Paratus writers, contributors, admins. They're linked in the description below. I highly recommend reading those articles because that's really what this is about and what guides my thought process, and I really don't want to spend all video talking about that because you guys are here for the magpie stuff, isn't it, the cool thing. So jumping right into that, this here, let me put it there, is my Appendix carry setup by Carter Custom Carry Solutions. You can find them at the CHS bunker in Somerset West. It's essentially an Appendix holster with a mag carrier sidecar attached to it, and we are going to talk about the importance of spare magazines in a moment, but this slips in the front of your trousers, and it's quite handy to use, as I'll demonstrate in a little bit. What I like about it is it's got this claw on here that really kind of, as you tighten the belt, it cants the holster into your body shape, which really helps with concealment. And because this has got some paracord on it, the mag carrier is flexible, not hard. It's got soft loops on it. Now, I'm a big soft loop fan. I don't like J clips, even though they're a lot more affordable and available. For me, I recommend seriously thinking C clips, which hook behind the belt, or soft loops as an attachment solution to your belt. J clips sometimes don't work the way they're supposed to, and the last thing you want to happen during a violent confrontation is for your entire holster to come out of your trousers with your gun still in it because your J-clips failed on you, and that does unfortunately happen. But overall, quite comfortable carry solution. Lots of people have issues with Appendix carry, especially Appendix carrying a Glock, and I think let's just talk about that for a second. Due to it being allegedly dangerous. Now, Appendix carry isn't dangerous unless you are an idiot and unless you are blasé and full of bravado and you don't take this very seriously. This is pointing at, this firearm, when you carry it in Appendix, is pointing at your femoral artery or it's pointing at your testicles. Either way, putting a hole in either of those is an exceedingly bad thing. You do not want that to happen. You don't want to bleed out from your femoral artery being shot off, and you don't want to negligently castrate yourself. Glocks don't just go off. The reason why bad things happen with Glocks in any holster, let alone Appendix carry. Let's take Appendix carry out of the picture. Appendix carry is dangerous because of where the barrel is pointing. There is no reason to reholster your firearm in a hurry, ever, that I can think of. I've never in all my years been presented by an argument why speed holstering is necessary. If a foreign object or a piece of clothing gets caught in the holster and makes its way between the trigger and the trigger guard, it can, and in several black swan events that have happened to people, succeeded in squeezing the trigger, which will make it go bang. That's bad for a lot of reasons. So the simple way of avoiding that from happening is to be careful when reholstering. With Appendix carry, what I recommend people do, take the entire holster out of your pants, reholster outside your clothes, and then pop it back in there. That's a very easy fail-safe way of doing it. If for whatever reason you can't do that, just be bloody careful and pay attention to what you're doing and make sure there are no foreign objects in this holster. It's as simple as that. Okay, moving on to the other holster I use, because occasionally I carry outer waistband as well. Now, bear in mind, when you talk about fundamentals of equipment selection, It needs to be well supported in South Africa. It needs to be reliable and work, and it also needs to be ergonomic to your lifestyle. Now, Appendix carry is great in the South African context because our weather is quite hot and warm, and outer waistband solutions generally don't work for us, although I do like them. This, and I'm going to talk about what this is in a moment, is a Safariland outer waistband holster with an active retention system. This is a lot faster, funnily enough, for me than drawing from Appendix. But it's not always practical because it is much more difficult to conceal than this is. And when it comes to fighting, gunfighting, all this sort of stuff, concealment is key, not just because the law says that the weapon needs to be completely covered. It's not, concealment isn't a requirement, but concealment is a very important tactical requirement. So if your gear doesn't allow you to effectively conceal, then rethink your gear. But more on that in a moment. The importance of your equipment decisions being ergonomic to your lifestyle. If you are in Durban, for example, where summer for all practical intents and purposes doesn't really end but takes maybe a brief recess, your ability to dress around your gun is vastly different to someone who lives in Gauteng, which is vastly different from someone who lives in the Western Cape, especially Cape Town, where winter is most of the year. Ideal being in Cape Town with very different environmental conditions, and my carry options are therefore different, perhaps not fundamentally so, but in many ways different than someone living geographically in a different climate. Appendix is a great option. There are, of course, a great many inner waistband options that are strong side, either 4 o'clock or 3:30 or 5 o'clock carry positions. For many reasons, people recommend against carrying small of back. The most obvious, if you take a tumble and fall on the gun, there's a chance that you could pick up a serious and potentially paralyzing spinal injury. So stuff in the smaller back comes with major risks, and it's also not necessarily a very good position to try and draw from. Whereas strong side and Appendix really is. So this is a Safariland outer waistband holster. It has a cool little active retention system there that's very ergonomic. As you complete your grip on the firearm, it just slides out. But unless you do that, this isn't coming out because it's retained. So if you end up with someone trying to grab your gun out of your holster, this retention system is going to make that a lot harder for them to do. It can cause you to get hung up on it. I haven't gotten hung up on this holster yet in a class, but it does take practice. So with all things, not just practicing with your gun, but practicing with your carry setup and training with it regularly and testing it that it actually works under simulated real world conditions is highly important. So not just ergonomic to your lifestyle, you actually also need to make these things work. I'll show how I conceal this, usually under a light jacket or light shirt outside. It conceals very well. Like I said, Cape Town weather allows for this option to be really good, but I'm a big fan of this. Then, apart from holsters, my everyday carry setup, apart from the side car spare magazine carrier on the Appendix holster, I carry at least another 2 magazines in these little concertina-esque Safariland magazine holders. Now, these aren't great. They're generic. They're basically designed for any double stack magazine. What's good about them, though, is they do allow me, and I'm over-dramatizing here now, to get my finger properly all the length of the magazine. So when I do pull it out, and this is with my wrong hand now, but this is for demonstration purposes, I can guide it in to the actual magazine well as I'm supposed to. A magazine carrier that inhibits you from doing that, give it a rethink. You're not going to have the luxury of pawing and fumbling and trying to look at your magazines when you reload under duress. You're going to have to, this is a bit harder because it's not on my belt, you're going to have to do this with touch and tactilely. How's that for a catchphrase? Reason why I carry so many spare magazines is, okay, capacity does matter. There are some horrendous stories out there of police in the US running out of ammunition. I've heard horrible stories of home invaders and attempted hijackings where the shootouts got so intense and that the defender won or just didn't win because they actually ran out of ammunition. There is really no such thing as too much ammunition. What inhibits you from carrying as much ammunition as possible is its weight and the challenge of concealing it. Let's be brutally honest. A lot of people say silly things like, oh, are you paranoid or overkill? It's like, listen, being attacked in the street or in my home or somewhere else by people trying to kill me is already a terrible worst case scenario. This whole nonsense story of, oh, if I can't finish the fight in 5 shots and I shouldn't have been there is bullshit. There's lots of people who have gotten into incredibly intense confrontations with multiple attackers. I mean, just the last few days alone, I did a video the day before, about defensive gun uses. In every single instance, the defenders were outgunned and outnumbered. And in one case, an entire magazine was emptied. I don't know about the others. And in yesterday's news, sorry, I'm screwing this up because I'm recording the day before release. Yesterday, the day before you are watching this, there was another defensive gun use in Durban, in Westville, I think, where 4 assailants attacked a homeowner. There's no such thing as too much ammunition, folks. Don't get caught up in bravado and don't get caught up in meaningless, empty phrases, tough guy sayings like, if I couldn't finish the fight in 5 shots, I shouldn't have been there. That's bullshit. Lots of people couldn't finish the fight in 5 shots. They needed more ammunition. Another major thing that guides us thinking is magazine and ammunition failure exists. If your magazine fails and doesn't feed the way it should because of some problem, either with the ammunition or the follower or the spring or the magazine itself, it effectively renders your gun inoperable. The only way you're going to rectify that is a new magazine, a spare magazine with good ammo, hopefully good ammo in it. If you don't have a spare magazine on you and you suffer a magazine failure, you're out of the fight. And that's not a position anyone wants to be in. So more spare magazines are better than fewer. Righty, okay, moving on to the foundation of your EDC and the foundation of my EDC, the belt. Now, what do you notice about this belt? See how it keeps its shape. It's not floppy. It's not a soft leather belt. This is a Colorman leather belt. There's its little logo. I'm going to link to them in the description because this is a super product. This is my favorite gun belt I've ever owned. I bought this one, although he did say he wanted to send me a free one to review, and thank you for that, sir. You're most generous. I will gladly take you up on that. But this is a product I actually purchased because it's a stiff, rigid, beautiful leather gun belt, and my everyday carry kit it distributes the weight beautifully. It rides on it nicely, and this makes carrying comfortable. Now, a lot of us say things in the gun community like, you should dress around the gun, you should adapt your wardrobe around the gun to a certain degree. Yes, to a great degree, no, you can't. You can't always dress around your gun. You sometimes need to pick a gun, again, that's ergonomic to your lifestyle, a phrase that comes up a lot. I didn't come up with that, that was Brian's. Because your lifestyle ultimately dictates what type of gun would work for you in a defensive capacity. Like, what sort of dress code or wardrobe do you usually make use of? There's no point in changing everything about your life to defensively carry a gun. There are so many options, especially for women these days, that make it really ergonomic, that make it really practical, that make it really useful and desirable to carry a gun on your person, on body, that you don't have to change all these things and make these massive lifestyle changes just to carry a defensive tool on you. But the belt, really, if you're going to carry a firearm around your waist, as most people do, belt is of high importance. Now, I do have a belly band I use when working out, when going for runs and stuff like that. I'm not demonstrating it here today. I should have, but we'll make another video about that. But that's also a really cool option if you can't have a belt around your waist. And I would like to get, hopefully, Aziza. Everyone in the comment section, tell me if you want Aziza to do a female everyday carry setup. Another belt I have is this one. It's sort of a mesh. It's a wilderness instructor's belt that I got many years ago. So it's Velcro. It's a bit It's a bit softer on the Appendix option because you can offset the buckle on your body to make it a bit easier. But again, it keeps its shape nice and rigid. Very light belt. Very fond of it. So this is the gun, ammo, and belt side of it. Obviously, as you guys know, I carry a Glock 19. I picked the Glock 19. Let's talk about that because that's all you guys want to talk to. Sorry if this video is a bit disjointed, but I'm going through the things as my brain goes, and I don't have a script. Glock 19, this is the blue gun. Okay, so it's not real, but this is an exact same. It's a great training tool. So if you don't have a blue gun, I recommend getting one of these. Nice big slide, easy to manipulate under duress. Edit-proof click bang. Very well supported in South Africa with spare parts, with accessories, with holsters. It's a very easy pick for a fighting gun. If I was making a decision for a sport shooting gun or for a competitive handgun of other sorts, then I would not necessarily go for that at all. But as someone that used to carry a Heckler & Koch religiously, Glock 19 is in my opinion, for me, the best fighting handgun there is. Not the best handgun, not the best handgun ever made. I mean, Smith & Wesson M&P 9s are awesome. And the CZP-10C apparently is quite good, although I have no experience with it. But for me, if I had to recommend it, I'd tell most people to start there and work their way through. Okay, other EDC items. This is a combat application tourniquet. Carry this in my back pocket or somewhere else most times. I've done some short videos about this. I had a long discussion with Walt Mayer, a live stream about tourniquets. They're very misunderstood. I recommend to carry this and get training for it. Do a stop the bleed course, do a basic austere environment trauma first aid course, plug and press, how to stop the bleed, how to use gauze, how to do wound packing, how to keep pressure on a wound. If someone has a catastrophic arterial bleed and is hemorrhaging from an artery on a limb, this can save their life. This can buy you enough time to get them to a hospital where they can then actually get healthcare, or yourself, to be honest, after a violent encounter. That could save a life. You need to know how to use it. It doesn't take excessive amounts of training or philosophy to understand how to use a tourniquet, the pros and cons behind it. But that is a potential lifesaver always on me. What's also always on me is a little knife. This is my Emerson Kershaw. Was brought to me by a friend from the States as a gift. And it was Brian, actually. Brian, if you're watching this. Very cool little pocket knife. It has many applications, some defensive, some practical. And I've always had a use for a knife. Then, lastly, last item. I carry either one or two of these little jobbies. I didn't bring my OC spray here. I have a little small bottle of Sabre Red pepper spray I also carry. Believe it or not, all these things fit quite easy, but depending upon how I feel in the mornings, I make sure that either one of these torches, one's an Olight M2T Warrior, this one, bright as all hell, and this is my Clarus XT2C. I'm never good at remembering the names of my torches, but I've had this one for a couple of years. It's more of a bright, and it's got a strobe function, and I dig it. It's a light torch, easy to recharge the rechargeable batteries, very bright, entirely reliable. Same with this one, Olight, very reliable torch, love it. And it's gotten me out of some sticky situations just by having it on me. So that's my everyday carry. That's how I've set it up. If there's certain questions you want me to answer, if there's certain specifics you want me to get into, please leave me comments. I do read them, or I do try to read all of them. And let me know what your setup is and what else you'd like me to talk about. With regards to everything else, the usual merch plug, you can get the cool Piratas baseball caps. I've ordered more of them since they're basically sold out, or nearly sold out. And the hoodies will hopefully be on sale Friday, which is tomorrow. The web store should open up for them. This is the most comfortable hoodie I own, and I'm not saying that because my brand is on it, but it does help that I kind of picked it, doesn't it? Also, if you like good coffee, the kind folks, the amazing folks from Boeretroos Coffee have a deal with us as we're an affiliate. So if you buy their coffee, their beans through the link below, we get a cut. Thank you for tuning in. I hope this has been informative. This has been a much longer video than my videos normally are, but yeah, hope it was cool. See you all again soon. Whiskey Friday tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. See you there. Have a fantastic rest of your Thursday. Okay, first up, appendix carry, as already discussed. Just going to turn around a bit so you can see there's no obvious indication with just the hoodie I'm wearing that there's any meaningful printing. Yet there it is. There's the appendix carry plus the 2 spare magazines. Now, not all that difficult to present from there. Get a good solid grip and out you go. And you can push out, you can shoot from retention. You've got pretty good control. Well, you have very good control over the firearm, and this is definitely for me a solution. By the way, here's the sidecar, already discussed about that. Reholstering with appendix carry, already discussed that with you. So this is obviously a blue gun. With regards to the ease of use for the spare mag carriers, they shouldn't inhibit you from being able to draw the magazine out, especially under duress. These aren't great, but as discussed, for now they get the job done. Okay, so with regards to the Safariland outer waistband, this is just a light KY jacket, just to show again, no real meaningful indication of printing or anything untowards, yet there she is. So it's quite nice and snug, nothing really untoward about it, and again, very easy. Active retention system, not a problem. Can reholster with one hand quite easily. It's really about you training with your equipment as opposed to looking for equipment to solving your problem. Spare mag carriers are right there, and like I said, not a problem at all.